Hi everyone, welcome to the channel today. Today in the chair I've got Riley. You may have seen Riley in one of the previous videos. TJ, her mum was in, which we've done a beautiful layering pattern on. And as we was there on that day, we saw some pictures for Riley's hair and I was like, let's get her back in the chair and let's do a little cut for Riley. So we're gonna go and do a consultation on Riley and check out what we're gonna do today. So, Riley, you're back in the chair, good to see you. What are we thinking to do today? I know we spoke last time about keeping sort of the length, but working with styling more than anything else, and it teaches you sort of how to style it to get sort of structure.
Yeah.
Do you like to keep it smoother and straighter? Do you like sort of curl? Do you want the bounce? What are you thinking?
I do like the bounce and the curliness.
Yeah.
I think something like the picture,
Yeah.
but like not super big.
That's a big, perfect. I love that. There's some key words in there. It's really important. So this is the picture we've got. Let me show you the picture that we've seen. We like the texture of the curl. We like the movement in there. But one of the biggest things we don't want to see here is the width. So when you say the bigness, you mean like how wide it is, don't you? Yeah. So you want to keep it a bit flatter. But you like all the curl.
Yeah.
You like to see the separation. Nice. So I love that on you because I know when we spoke last time, we really started to sort of see that hair underneath and all that curl that you have through there, which is really nice. Does the top curl as much, do you know, when it's wet?
Yeah, it like my hair is naturally like curly, but I just pull it back.
Perfect. Excellent, because you like it flatter.
Yeah.
Excellent, good. So today I'm going to go through and work a shape. I'm not going to take much length off. I think length for you is going to be really important.
Yeah, I like my length.
Excellent, because when it curls, it shrinks. So the more we can keep the length, the more we can work with what we've got. But I'm going to cut into it just to give it some shape. I do want to layer a little bit around the face here. Do you do sports? Do you need to tie it back?
Yes, I do a lot of sports.
A lot of sports,
I keep it back.
We can chat on that as we go through the haircut. So enough to tie it back. Do you have to do high ponytail, low ponytail?
I usually do it low.
Low. So it's very important to keep a lot of length in the front, so maybe just taking the corner off more than anything else, just to sort of round the shape up. And then through the layers, I do want to give you a little bit more sort of shape through here, just so when we do curl it or we do show that curlier shape, what we get is less of that, and we get a little bit more of that.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we're going to go through just really simply, put a nice little layer pattern to it, and just work a little bit of detail, just enough to put shape in. The idea here is to not go and layer too much. Less is going to be a lot more on Riley's hair today. If we do go and put a lot of layers in, especially with how thick it is, also how fine it is, then we're going to find we're going to get it really weak and it's can go quite fluffy. So I want to maintain the structure in the cut, I want to maintain the structure in the layering pattern, and definitely the length through the front as well, that we can pull back and get back into the ponytail. So it's very convenient and comfortable when you're doing your sports.
Okay.
And then we're going to dry curly today. Yeah, practice that and go through, show you how to use some of the product that you got in that and go from there.
Okay.
Perfect, love it. Okay, we're going to go and shampoo and then we'll come back for the cut in a second. So with Riley's hair today, I'm not going to go through and add in a leave-in conditioner or a detangler. I don't want to add too many products to the hair. I don't want to weigh it down. So what I'm going to work through is just water. I used a very light shampoo and conditioner just to go through to give it a little bit of cleanse and a little bit of condition so I can get the comb through and work comfortably with it. But again, no added extra products to it. We are going to work through the curl product later and then scrunch in and dry that in to create a cast and brush that out to finish. But if I start putting leave-in conditioners to it, softening-based products, it's going to just start to make the hair get very weighted, and I don't want that to. So I'm going to keep very light and use less. Obviously, it does get tangly at home. If it's dirty, then you can use some. But today, I'm not going to go through and do that. The idea of the haircut is I want to keep quite classic. I want to keep quite clean, quite simple. So I'm going to work through just with the natural parting. I'm going to work through just with my perimeter. So I'll be working my classic one-length technique. I'll be working through with a profile, diagonal forwards, and then just point cutting through the perimeter and then through to the sides. But focusing, again, with a bit more structure on keeping the corners. So when I over-direct it back, I've maintained the weight in these corners, and when we curl it as well, it doesn't shrink up too much around the neck. It actually gives me some structure and some shape. So when I work with curl, or a haircut that is designed to be curly and straight, I will always think about those avenues, those details. The details of the silhouette of the shape once it's dry. Knowing as well that when we work with hair, and if we work with curl, we will always find that with the hair on the side, let me show you through here, the hair on the side of the head, there's a lot less hair in the front, in front of the ear than there is behind. So this can run the risk of shrinking up quicker, giving you a bit of length behind it, make the hair look like it's falling back away. So keeping length in this area around the ear, above the ear, just in front, is really important because when that then shrinks, it can then look squarer towards the front. So keeping that extra length in the corner for me with curl is really, really important. I'm going to grab my scissors, and we're going to go through and just start to section off. The idea here as well is, again, that softness within the shape. I'm not going to go too strong. I am going to work a point cut. I'm going to work just natural size sections, so nothing else is changing through here. My elevation is going to be nice and low, and the tension I'm going to be applying on the hair will be quite soft. I don't want to work a high tension. I'm not going to pull the hair. I don't want to go through and make it jump or shrink with the tension I'm going to work on it. So work with the wide teeth of the comb and just naturally combing through, knowing that I don't have to keep a precision kind of feel to it, but more of a structure is really, really important. I'm going to pump up just so it's easier for me. There we go. So as we go through, comb the hair down, get it nice and clean. We can already start to see the jump on the corners where the hair's releasing its structure around the hairline. So as I work in, I'm just going to comb down. Matt, come on close on this one. That's probably where I should have used the white gown, but in the back was going to work. We're going to comb down just loose. You can still see the movement in the hair. And as I hold that, I'm just going to go through and just point cut very gently with that soft tension. So I'm not starting to go through and put tension and pull and shrink, because once I do that and it dries or it releases, it's going to shrink up more. So I really want to work with that natural feeling and texture. But again, as we know through the shape, we're just starting to really create that foundation and that detail. Simple technique all the way through, work into my corners and point cutting the edge. As we said in the consultation, one of the key things we want to make sure we keep his length. Riley does a lot of sport, and we're going to find out about them sports in just a second. But knowing that we work with sport, we have parameters. We need to tie the hair back, and we don't want it to go be too different. That's why we're working with bespoke tensions as well. Another thing, I just want to actually, Matt, just come here for me. So a lot of times when we comb the hair, we have the indication to want to comb it back to cut it into shape. But when you look at Riley's growth, you can really start to see, and which is this one thing I do focus a lot on my bobs. I do focus this a lot when I'm working with shorter hair types, is working with the natural growth. So when I release the tension through here, I can start to see that the hair really wants to be, its natural fall is to the side of the head, and it's not directly back where we naturally want to cut it. So even though I'm going to stand and cut the hair here on the side, I'm going to comb down and then position my fingers into shape. So I'm letting the hair naturally fall into the position before I cut it. That way, it's going to give me real strong indication of shape, design, and control, and there'll be no over direction, no areas that give me a problem or that sit where they don't want to sit. And here we can see that nice strong base continue through to the front. So just some key things like that when you're working through with a client, some observations that you work with are really quite important. They might sort of seem quite small and insignificant in a way, but they really do make a difference to the execution of the cut, how clean it is, the finish. But most importantly, and this is one of the biggest things for me, is how easy it is for the client to recreate their hair at home. If I'm combing it in a different direction and then it starts to jump and they're trying to combat the fight of the roots at home, it just makes it harder. So I tend to work with the roots a lot for reasons like that. Okay, so enough about the hair. Riley, talk to me about the sports. What do you do?
I do basketball, and then
Nice.
I'm starting track in May.
Oh, excellent. What position do you play in basketball?
I'm usually the point guard.
So you love it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Are you on is it like the school team?
Yeah. My season ended in December.
Oh yeah.
So
is this an influence for basketball from Dad? Both? Yeah, nice. Excellent. I never grew up with basketball. My nephew plays basketball, and for Skyview, he's actually in Lingfield now. And when I'm there, I watch and I'm like, I never know what's going on. I don't know anything about the sport. It's really, I'm like, what happened? And everyone's, yeah, I'm just like, they're running. The only thing I know is when it goes in the basket, net, I say net then when I see it's even wrong. When it goes in the basket and I'm like, okay, that's points. Other than that, I'm like, oh, what is going on? Yeah, it's fast. I noticed that, like coming to America and sort of seeing the sports, like the major sports, there's so much more intricacies and details of what you think about or what we don't think about if you don't grow up playing the sport. I've really noticed that, like from baseball, just like what you've got to look at. There's so much more than what you realise. Yeah. Yeah.
Or rugby, even it's just like those games are so much more fluid, and I don't think it makes more sense in some ways without all the extra rules.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was actually having this conversation last night about rugby and American football, and I'm like, they're sort of like people look at them as the same, like the English version, so to speak. But they're totally different sports. The ball is different. It's a different shape. I mean, it's oval, but it's a different shaped ball. Like you don't throw it the same. Some like, and I was thinking about it in just sort of in terms of, well, they're different sports. So they're only close to being the same because they have a similar shaped ball to it, but they're actually very different. I came over thinking, my sport was going to be baseball. That's going to be what I'm going to want to watch or get involved in. Wasn't really a big football, American football fan. But no, like coming in now, I'm like, football all day long. That's I much prefer that than anything else.
Yeah, it's entertaining for sure.
Yeah. And then track as well. So do you have a discipline that you like? Anything that's sticking out so far? You're just going to go and see what one you prefer?
I prefer like the 100-meter, and the
Like
hurdles.
sprints. Hurdles.
Yeah, sprints and
Nice.
stuff.
So you say that with a smile. You've gone sprints, then you said hurdles, and you was like hurdles, and you went, you was like yes.
Yeah.
So you like the running over, the jumping? That's like the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do last year? Was this your first year?
This is probably gonna be my first year doing an actual track. I mean, in the 3rd and 4th grade, I did elementary track.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a bunch of practices and then one big meet.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I did enjoy that.
Excellent. Okay, everyone. So perimeter's done. We've gone through point of the perimeter. You can see the shape that I've created moving around to the front. We've got the length through the corners. I'm going to go through and just square that off in just a second, but I'm going to put the layers in first. I don't want to go through and square it off and then put the layers in. I want to just put the layers in, see what it needs. And then for me, we're going to sort of be pretty much done. I'm loving the shape. I'm looking at the curl. Curl's developing really well. Now, to know how many layers I want to put in the hair, knowing how much layering is going to happen, I'm looking at the curl to decide that for me. As I'm looking, I know if I don't want it to be too round or too big. As we said, we want something a bit flatter. So just by taking that initial corner off will allow that shape just to not be so thick on the perimeter, but also give me a little bit more lift to it. So I also go through and look on the side profile so I can start to see the silhouette and look to see sort of how many layers I want. Bring the hair up and just sort of adjust it and then see which one for me feels most confident. Trust my instincts, but also look at the shape. So I know if I come up here, I'm going to have a lot of shape that's going to get quite weak on the ends. So just by dropping this down, I can start to see that's just enough to maintain that weight, but then round the corner and give me the shape I need. So as we can start to see here, we're just an inch, maybe 2 inches max coming off that shape through the back is enough to layer the shape for Riley today. As I said before, when we're thinking about hair like this, where we have sports and things, other indications, understanding sort of less is sometimes always more within those parameters. Now, when I go through to take my parting, I always want to think about the roots, as I mentioned earlier. You can start to see the drop at the back. If I come too high, I'm going to get a bit of lift to it. So I'm going to just work slightly off the back of the head with my first parting. So my structure of the layering can sit on the back of the head around here and not up for height. I'm not after lift and height and body, which if I wanted to do a different haircut where I created volume on the top and made something bigger, I would start higher up. But I'm going to work to the natural partings. And as we can see, that's sitting just around the crown. So I will subdivide the back from the front in this positioning. And I will start my layering from here. As you can see though, the top of the head is higher than where I'm starting. So when I bring this back, and if we do brush the hair back, we are going to see a little overhang. So very importantly, once I've cut the shape of the layers in all through, I'll go back through just this crown area and just detail that to soften and blend, to allow for movement where we go back and forth. Knowing Riley's hair when she's come in and how she said she does her hair with a parting and scrapes it all back, she's probably not going to be combing it back anyway, but it just allows me to have that versatility within the haircut for when she does her hair herself at home. But I want to, again, work with the natural growth movement of the hair, so when Riley does do her hair at home, she doesn't have to fight anything. We just do it nice and easy. So first section, going to be working down just with profile section through the center. Now I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to just come to this side. I'm going to come out from the head. So here I'm going to start to look at my layering. If I'm coming off the back of the head, again, I'm going to be maintaining the perimeter structure shape and layering. If I'm coming out, I'll be maintaining more perimeter weight, which is going to be more important, and naturally shortening the layers, give me a rounder finish as well. So the projection from the head and the angle I'm cutting is something to always think about. They're two different things which could give two different results with your finish. So I'm going to comb just to the natural flow of the head. So I'm going to comb up, and then making sure that my length can sit about there. That's good. And then point cut. I'm not working a deep point cut. I just want to point cut for a little bit of softness. I still want the structure there. Again, knowing the hair and how it curls is very important. First section, let's have a little drop down, check the layers. Shortest one sitting here. I think we can take a little bit more off, but I don't want to take any more weight away from the perimeter. I want to take just a little bit more from the layers themselves. So to do that shape, I'm going to come up a little bit higher to maintain my perimeter density, and then just point cut that little bit extra length off through the top. Now when I drop that down, I've maintained my structure. And now we can see, that's perfect. We can now start to see that shape coming down and then sitting around to finish. So that's how I will always adjust my layers. That's how I will look at the shape I'm creating. That's how I will sort of work out the proportions of the shape, all the things I'm doing. And now I can think about how I want the shape to sit in the back. Knowing that the hair was jumping quite a bit through these corners, as we work through with the pivoting, I can over-direct back to the previous to maintain some extra length. If I work a traveling guide all the way around, I do run the risk of taking more hair off in this corner and having that curl more. So remembering that we want length and shape through the front, I am going to work through just with the last section, which is going to be residing just where the hairline starts to rise up, and over-direct that one back to its previous. So the first one here will be a traveling guide working around, imitating the same shape as the one before. Here we go. Keeping that one in place, taking the guide, and then coming all of this back to that previous. This is now maintaining length around this corner. As I comb that up. Follow that same shape. When I comb that down, you can start to see them layers getting shorter to longer, but very importantly, maintaining their weight in that area. So small details, but really make an effective result and a slight change for the look we're after. I'll repeat that same technique on the other side. So I'm going to now just stand my body in front of the camera, getting my body in the right position, making sure I'm coming up and nice and clean from the roots, making sure that that section that I'm cutting follows my hand, and so it mirrors the same structure I'm working on. Position, last section, over directing back. Let's do that once more. Okay. And cut. And I'm really big on, the less we take off, sometimes the better. We don't always have to cut lots of hair off to make big changes and big structural shapes. We want something that works, that sits for our client and just sits really well. Now, so we can even just see that shape, the layering sitting through here. We've got the nice perimeter. Everything's been maintained. So really key, good shape. How's it looking, Dad? Looking good? Perfect, love that. All right. So now we're going to work through to the front. Take a guide from behind, take a guide from the front, and then we will stand behind and continue this all the way through. Up, there we go. So you can see here that a lot of the hair's fallen out. And a lot of the hair that's fallen out is hair that's sitting just around the curvature. That's allowing all of that thickness to be maintained on the perimeter. So when I go through and cut the hair on top, I know I'm layering just above the curvature, which is the best way to layer for hair that is quite fine, because we've maintained maximum thickness underneath. I can do this in 2 sections, and just because the density of the hair. I'm going to comb everything back to that guide. I feel this is going to be the most beneficial to keep the maximum length towards the front. And that we want to keep all of that structural shape. You can see the hair, all this has fallen out. It's not reached, that's fine. There's my guide. Lower my hand so I can cut nice and clean. I can stay in this position, but that can sometimes be quite uncomfortable, quite hard. So I'm just going to lower down so I can see and point cut through. Again, dropping that through to the side. Let's have a little check. It's looking good to me. And repeat, and we do the same on the other side. So this now becomes the simplicity of this haircut, the design, the shape that we're creating with it, and just an easy way to create a beautiful result for a great client. If you have any questions as we're going through this technique, if you have any comments you want to make, please make them. If you have anything you want to see in the future, let us know. We'll do the like, subscribe, and comment with everything you got. We are looking to be doing some lives soon, so if you have any requests of any haircuts you might want to see, it could be a good thing also. Don't know what that noise is from. Someone's reversing a van or something good. Oh yeah, it is a van reversing. How's the hair feeling so far? It's feeling good? Mm-hmm. Nice. So shaping, perimeter's nice and thick, everything's looking good. I'm going to go through now and just work through the crown. Let me show you this area that I was talking about earlier on. You may have seen me do this little technique on some of the other videos. I find it's a really nice transitional point. But as I go through to just work a triangle section around this crown, and as we comb up, you would just see that extra length through that corner. So now I'm going to go through and just comb that up and just point cut that corner off. That's going to allow the shape from the crown, if Riley does brush it back, to not have that extra weight line, any hair there. Naturally, it's going to want to fall to the side, which again will just be a softer layer. But it just allows for that move, that versatility, so things don't get in the way. If a client does want to brush back from further back, you can take a larger triangle. Still working very cautiously to be on top of the curvature, nothing too nothing too low because you don't want to change the layering pattern. And then just take off that corner as well. And as you can see through this front area, I'm taking less and less off because I know that that top is not going to reach all the way back anyway. So just being a little bit more cautious in what I'm taking off. And again, as you can see the layering here, just round to the side, it just blends in through to the front. So last thing I'm going to do before we finish the haircut and we jump onto styling is to just go through and look at the corners. So I mentioned earlier that I wanted to go through and square the corners off, but I wanted to wait till my layering had finished. I didn't know if when I was going to layer how much weight I was going to remove or what was going to happen. I mean, I did, but I didn't know exactly how it was going to look. So just being cautious, taking that for afterwards is a bit of a safety aspect for me. So as we go through and check that out, we can now start to see just that corner I might want to take off just so when it dries, it maybe sits a bit stronger and looks a bit thicker. There we go. And for me, it's literally just that little corner there. There's nothing more. It's not a big corner. We're just strengthening up that shape for that silhouette. So on this side. There we go. So, haircut's complete. Simple, effective, beautiful haircut. Just something that's just been enough to give a bit more structural shape to the curl when we go through to dry it. And that's just going to give us a bit more sort of detail for Riley's hair today. Okay, now when we work with curl, we work with product. We want to go through and work with styling. So I want to teach Riley how to do her hair at home and how to sort of work with that curl and that slight different shape. So one of the biggest things when we work with curl is to work with a wet base. We want to get product in, water in there so it's really wet. So when we actually scrunch product in, we're hearing or feeling that, that kind of sort of scrunch. Because that means the product's absorbing. That means the water's sort of bringing the product inside the cuticle. If you put it onto dry hair, the cuticle layers have closed, the scales of the hair, let's say, and the product just sits on the outside. We want the product to absorb into the hair so we can start to work with the shape we've got. Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go through and spray some water to wet the hair down again, and then we're going to go and put some product in. You just got a look from me then, Matt. I was like... Okay, gotcha. See, Matt's learning as well at the moment. Like, you guys didn't see it, but he gave me a look, and I was like, did I say something wrong? I love these lives. They're great. They're brilliant. I love them. Perfect. We're always learning, always learning. Okay, so. So as you can see, we're going to wet the hair down. Working with the hair wetter, you're going to get just a much better result. You'll probably see when your hair's curly, you're like, oh, I love it when it's curly. I wish it could stay like this. You know, and that's what we're going to sort of imitate today. So we're just going to shake it all through. You don't need the hair dripping wet, but you do need it wet, okay? It's always best to comb it and then go for the style, because you're naturally going to smooth over the hair a little bit. So when you're putting product in, it just starts with a smoother base. Okay.
Okay.
I can see your dad out of my eye. He's taking notes over there. I can see it. That's it.
Because like before then, like my dad did cut my hair this short. So,
Oh, nice. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You cut Riley's hair.
Well, that's one way to put it.
Just to introduce Corey. This is Corey over here. This is Riley's dad. He doesn't know this yet, and nor does anyone. But he's going to come up in a minute and feel the product in the hair and actually get used to working. So yeah, we're going to do some education for you as well, Steph. That's all right. That's it. I sort of thought that by knowing you as much as I do already for the last 30 minutes, I thought you'd be comfortable doing that.
Absolutely.
Perfect, perfect. I was like, that's on camera as well. Okay, so hair's wet down. Partings, do you want to keep the center parting? Do you want to work a parting to one side? Do you have a preference? Something?
I like it like down the middle.
Down the middle?
Yeah.
Perfect. So you'll go through and put the parting where it's comfortable. Okay. Comb that through there. So you've got your shape. Try and get some lift to it. So you see like you're pushing the hair up. Okay. But pushing it up is going to, you can see, start to release that curl around the roots. I'm going to spray it down just a little bit more. I want it to be a little bit wetter. There we go. So imagine you're fresh out of the shower, just done your hair, and then you're like, okay, got to put some product. Comb it through, give it like a little scrunch, and you can start to hear that hair, that scrunching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so with the product, and I'm going to use today the I Create Lift Volumizing Foam that Riley has already at home. So funny enough, she's using these products. And she likes it. She wants me to show her how to use it. So I've done 3 pumps. Okay, that should be enough for your hair. We may want to put some more in a minute. So we're going to work it through the hand. When you're working with a foam mousse, if you work it straight away, it can sometimes get quite hard, quite crispy, because it can dry. So you might want to just work it into the hands a little bit. You can see it's becoming more foamy. It just means it's going to be a bit softer to apply. Okay?
Okay.
We're going to go through and scrunch. So this is I'm scrunching, I'm bringing it up into the hair. Yeah. Pushing up into it. Making sure that I've put some into the front. Some more. There we go. So you see how as I'm scrunching it, I'm lifting up into it, scrunching it. I'm not dragging the hands through. I'm going to do another 3 pumps because I can and it's good and the hair's absorbing it perfectly. So I've now worked from mid-lengths around the front and now I'm going to work into the back. So again, as you can see here, I'm picking the hair up and you can feel that sort of scrunch. That's really good when you get that noise. Okay, there we go. So Corey, coming up, buddy, coming up. I want you to put your hand, just as I've been doing, put the hands in, sort of feel how that works. Okay. And then when you're at home and you're doing it for her, you'll be able to scrunch that up, that's it. That's it, and now like claw in there and do the same again.
Okay, so like this, not like this.
That's it. However you can get the scrunch to it, either way that works for you. Yeah. That's it. And now try that way as well. That's it. That's good. Does that feel good? Tension feels good? So that's it. So you crunch like the water, yeah? So that's what you're after doing. And as you was doing it, you wasn't, doing that to it because that's what's going to get it straight bits. It's going to get frizz again. So it's pushing it up, scrunching it. If you need to come underneath to do it, or if it's easier, if we're down, just so we can start to see that beautiful curl, yeah? And it's scrunch, release. Okay? Perfect. There's a towel there if you want to wipe your hands. If you've got products on your hands, yeah. Go for it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this is the shape. We've now scrunched product into it. We've got it. We're comfortable. We're happy. We like how it looks. If we want to get a bit more lift around the root area, we can grab those and see that, push it in. So you've got a little bit more lift in there. That just helps to give a little bit of lift into the roots as well. We could comb it different, but I know you like that center parting, so we're going to keep that there. We're going to work through with a diffuser. Just going to unravel this. So we want to work by creating what they call a cast first. We don't want to go straight in and dry it big. We want to create a bit of a cast. So nice high heat, just again, really sort of put some heat to it. And we're going to just work with the cast. If you have a diffuser, or if you don't, just hold it away. It's really good. We just hold that sort of coming down. And we're just looking to dry the air at the moment. We're not looking to create a shape. We just want to create that cast to it, like an overview. So just Just dry the surface of the product, yeah. So you can put the product in and then go and do stuff. And the hair will naturally dry and you'll naturally create that cast naturally.
Okay.
But if you're looking to, dry it, go out, or want to style it, then you'll do as we're doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just squeezing those roots. You can see a little bit lift in the roots. Because then once we do that and the cast is created all through, we're then going to go through and make it bigger and mess it up and do what we want to do, if we want to mess it up. So having the hair dryer, the air coming down and flat, will keep it flatter. As soon as you come up, you're making things get bigger, all right? I'm just going to speed up the speed, but hold it further away just so we can dry it quicker. So it's the boring part, you just let it dry. But if you feel it, you can feel how it's drying, getting that little cast to it, a little crispy. But we want that crispiness to start, okay? Because we'll break the crispiness up in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. How does the curl feel? Does it look a nice curl? You like the shape, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, Corey, come up and feel the cast just so you can see the where we're at now, the stage we're at. So just touch it and feel like it's like crispy. Yeah. So if you want to feel it as well, just feel that the crispiness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's crispy. But that's good because the outside's dry and crispy, but the insides are still wet. Yeah? So now we're going to go and dry the insides. Does that make sense?
No.
No. So what we've created a cast so the outsides are dry, but the inside is still wet, so that still needs to dry. So now as we go through and we use the diffuser and we scrunch into it, that's going to break the cast and allow the heat to go inside. But because we've naturally created that cast already, we're going to get less frizz. If you go straight up when it's wet, it's going to start to frizz more and get fluffy.
Yeah.
So this helps to stop the fluffiness. Perfect. So we're going to lower down the speed, lower down the heat, and then we're going to work to just give you a bit more natural lift and get a bit more curl to it.
Okay.
Perfect. So I'm going to put the hair in the diffuser, then I'm going to bring it towards the head. And by me scrunching it, pushing it again, pushing the hair in, this is what's breaking the cast up and allowing the hair to now circulate on the insides of each twist. You see I'm being a little bit more aggressive with the curl now, scrunching it, breaking the cast up. As you can see, we've got that curl. You see it's a lot fuller. It's not as stringy as that one.
Yeah.
Does that look nice? Yeah. And as you see, as I'm drying it, I'm not ever raking my fingers through it. I'm scrunching, drying, releasing, and pulling out. So that's that way to get that really nice curl. And again, you can now pull back, control, and have. Or if you want to start to sort of play around with that curl, you can get your hands underneath it, slide the fingers up into the roots, and like massage those roots, but don't get too crazy with it. Then pull them out. And as you can see, you've now just got a bit more lift at the root area. Okay, I'm going to get another little product in it for you, if that's all right. I'm going to get a bit more texture in there. This is going to be a product from a different line. This one's going to give us that little bit more lift to it, a bit more texture. So it's just called a duo. It's like a hairspray and a dry shampoo kind of mix. So this is from the line Kevin Murphy. This will help just to control any frizz, but also if you're touching it, moving it around, it will help to give a bit more control as well. You got curls? Look at that. Let me show you the back so you can see the curls at the back.
Whoa.
They look nice?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see today, just a beautiful result for Riley. We've gone through and just worked with, again, I Create Lift. Sorry, come on in, it's all good. I Create Lift from the Instance line just to create that cast and then also go through and to create that structure to it. Then some Do-Over from Kevin Murphy just to give that dry sort of feel sensation, that nice texture and that fullness in the finish. Biggest things we focused on with the haircut was that nice detail and structure, but then also really working with the dry to create the cast first and then go through and give the lift and the volume for the finish itself. I hope you like the look today. I've had an absolute pleasure going through and teaching Riley how to do her hair and working with it. Please do all the good stuff, the like, subscribe, leave a comment, let's chat, connect, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Thanks so much, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.